Governor Noem wants to reduce the executive branch fleet from 3 planes to 2. The governor's plan would sell 2 older model planes and buy a new one. Noem says the net cost is $5 million.
As planes age, they require more frequent, complex, and very expensive maintenance. The state's top priority when considering aircraft must be safety.
Noem's call for aircraft safety reflects one of the reasons this issue has a complex history. In 1993, Governor George S. Mickelson and 7 other people died when a state-owned airplane crashed. Mickelson was the son of George T. Mickelson, one of the earliest South Dakota governors to travel in an airplane. During the elder Mickelson's term from 1947 to 51, the state bought a single-engine, 4-passenger plane for about $8,000. But, as Mickelson and future governors of both political parties learned, when a governor travels in a state airplane, controversy sometimes follows. Mickelson was in office less than 2 years when the Custer Chronicle newspaper took him to task for flying around the state. The Chronicle wanted Mickelson to come down to earth long enough to learn the conditions of the state highways. That criticism was nothing compared to later political fights. Harry Christensen served in state government during the 70s and 80s. Then he worked as a lobbyist for several decades. He says airplanes are easy to politicize because they can be seen as a luxury.
And quite frankly, most South Dakotans have not flown in a private aircraft, particularly a corporate-sized cabin-class airplane. And so it was always a popular thing to criticize the acquisition or the use of a state plane.
One of the more colorful controversies occurred while Democrat Dick Knipe was governor. In 1971, his administration bought a plane for $200,000. A Republican lawmaker, Roger Haugo, claimed it was extravagant. He called it a luxurious flying bar. The governor's defenders argued the plane didn't have a bar at all. They called it a refreshment buffet. The plane turned out to be a lemon. Governor Knipe asked lawmakers to buy another one, and they turned him down. He ended up leasing a plane. Republican Governor Bill Janklow had several aircraft controversies. Critics called a helicopter he used as Attorney General a waste of money. As governor in 1983, he used highway funds to buy a plane for almost $800,000 without asking the legislature for approval. Democrats cried foul, but it was too late. 10 years later, it was that same plane that crashed in an Iowa field, killing Governor George S. Mickelson and 7 others. The state's latest airplane controversy was 15 years ago. Governor Mike Rounds oversaw the sale of 2 state planes and the purchase of another for $1.5 million. The state Democratic Party obtained his flight logs, and the Argus Leader newspaper examined them. Stu Whitney, who was a reporter at the Argus, noticed something interesting.
I remember matching up a lot of those logs when we got the spreadsheet together with the Pierre high school basketball schedule. And that's when it sort of clicked for me, because a lot of these flights were linking up with Pierre road games. There would be a flight on state aircraft to Aberdeen, and I'd look at the Pierre Governor's basketball schedule, and lo and behold, they'd be in Aberdeen that night. And then Mitchell, and then Brookings, and Governor Rounds' son was a player on the Pierre basketball team.
Rounds, a pilot who sometimes flew the planes himself, said he was using political contributions to repay the state for his personal flights. That did not satisfy his critics. They proposed a measure on the 2006 ballot limiting the use of state planes to state business. Voters approved it. Fast forward to 2020, and Governor Noem came under fire for flying around the country to campaign for President Trump. Her staff says she never used state planes for that travel. They say she flew commercial or caught rides with other campaigners in their planes. In her budget address, Noem evoked the Mickelson crash to make her case for a new plane.
We all know that South Dakota tragically lost a governor, 2 state commissioners, 3 chief executives, and 2 pilots 27 years ago. They died in service to our great state.
Noem says one of the planes in the executive branch fleet today was purchased to replace the plane that crashed in 1993. She says the average age of the 3 planes in the fleet is 26 years. The governor wants legislative approval to sell the state's older 2 aircraft and buy a new plane. Lawmakers will vote on that request this session. For South Dakota Public Broadcasting, I'm Seth Tupper.